You know that one friend you have that always overstays their welcome and stays way too long at your house?
Hey Ryan, can you grab me a beer?
No.
Well, the herb I'm about to tell you about is just like that, and I'll explain why in a minute, but I'll also tell you why you need this herb in your life if you want to heal from Lyme disease.
So does that mean I can stay?
No, you need to get out of here. So I was fainting. I know that sounds insane, and there's two times that I really remember the most. One was at a concert. I was inside the concert in rows and rows of theater seats, and I actually just woke up outside. Like I was inside 1 second, the next second my friend was like slapping me in the face and trying to wake me up, and I was outside. Do you know how scary that is? I wonder if you have ever experienced fainting. If you have, comment below. I'd love to hear about it. It's an insane feeling. Another time I was at my friend's house. I remember he had a very steep driveway, one of those driveways that if you tried to run down the driveway, you'd probably fall on your face. If you tried to ride a skateboard down the driveway, the skateboard would wiggle like this. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm on that driveway and I feel like I am losing it, right? My vision was closing in, and all of a sudden I was just like, I need to lay down, and I just laid down, and my friend was like freaking out. He's like, well, dude, are you okay? What's wrong? He like went and got me a water bottle. He's like, here you go, man. Like, I don't know what's wrong. And it was very, very scary. So I ended up going to my actual personal care provider. Now, this was after I was already diagnosed with Lyme disease. And the reason I was already diagnosed is because I was showing the EM, erythema migrans rash that is so famous for Lyme disease. So when I had that rash, I went to the emergency room. The emergency room said, oh, you have Lyme disease. Here's a prescription. Take these antibiotics. It literally took 3 minutes to see me at the doctor, at the emergency room. But then with the fainting, I went to my personal care provider, my actual family doctor. And this is when things got crazy. The look on his face was something I had never seen before from a doctor. He looked genuinely concerned and scared for my life. And I didn't know why. I had no idea. I didn't know what was going on yet. All I knew was that I was like fainting and I felt really weird and I had vertigo. And he just looked at me like, I don't know what to do here. That's the look he had on his face. He didn't say that, but he chose his words very carefully. And he was speaking to me slowly, and he was trying to not scare me. And I could tell in retrospect that was what was going on. I couldn't tell at the time. I knew something was weird though. It was a very strange environment that I was in. Next thing you know, they're doing a whole bunch of heart tests on me before even telling me what's going on. So I'm laying down, they're putting those sticky pads all over me. I'm hearing the beep, 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 and they're just doing all these tests on my heart. The next thing you know, the doctor says, Ryan, can you come with me? And he actually pulls me into his private office. I'll never forget. There was papers and books stacked everywhere. It looked like my room while I was studying Lyme disease when I was really in the thick of things. And it was just papers and books everywhere, and it looked crazy. I was like, wow, this guy doesn't, have the time to clean. He's so busy being a doctor. And he said to me, Ryan, your heart rate is down to 30 beats per minute. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really react. I was like, okay. But he said, athletes have a resting heart rate that is very, very low because they're constantly working out their heart. They have very good cardio, and their resting heart rate gets lower and lower because of that. So their resting heart rate can be as low as maybe 50 beats per minute. And yours is 30 beats per minute. And then he just paused, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this information, right? So the doctor basically was terrified and scared. He basically said, we have to get you on a heart monitor for the next 48 hours at least to see what's going on with your heart, to make sure there's no blockage from Lyme disease in your heart. So that's what I did. I wore a heart monitor for the next 48 hours, and it was interesting. Now I was absolutely terrified. Okay, to say terrified is actually an understatement. I had a kid on the way. My son, Wyatt, was not born yet. I had a daughter, I had a wife, I had a serious life around me. And now I felt like I might possibly die. And I took it very, very seriously. I actually thought that I was going to die. It's not just one of those things that you say or like mess around about. I actually believed that I might die, and I started acting in accordance. I started saying goodbye to people. I started talking to people differently, carrying myself differently, and it changed my life forever to this day. If you have ever talked to someone or seen someone or know someone, or maybe you have had a near-death experience, then you know this very closely. You know this to be a fact, that when that happens, you have a complete change in your psychology that changes the way you see the world, the way you act, the way you show up every day. I have not been the same since that moment. It changed everything. So needless to say, I went home and, I was already on a natural path at this point. I decided not to take antibiotics and to use natural methods. To me at that time, that meant eating completely naturally. I was studying to become a nutritionist, so I knew all of the health benefits that come from whole plant-based foods and natural eating and natural living. And I was already practicing those things. But once I found out about this, I said, I need to kick it up a notch, okay? I cannot die. I cannot let myself go out like this. I need to start doing whatever I can to protect my heart and to heal my body. And so I started diving into the literature. I pulled up PubMed. I was on PubMed for days, just looking at all the different studies and research that I could find about Lyme disease, about the different methods they use for healing it. Should I use antibiotics? Should I not use antibiotics? Should I use herbs? What kind of herbs should I use? I started looking at different books. I read Healing Lyme by Stephen Booner. I read Unlocking Lyme by Dr. Bill Rawls. I read every book that I possibly could find about Lyme disease, the Lyme diet. I read everything I could get my hands on. And that's when I found the main thing that I attribute a lot of my Lyme disease healing success to, which is an amazing, amazing herb called Japanese knotweed. The Latin name is Polygonum cuspidatum. Now, this magical herb is actually an invasive species.
Hey Ryan, can you grab me a beer?
Back in 2012 in the UK, banks were actually not giving loans out to people that had a property where there was Japanese knotweed on the property because it was so invasive and, kind of damaging the property that the bank wasn't willing to give loans on properties with this plant on it, which is very interesting. But this plant is a magical herb that works wonders, especially for Lyme disease. I recently read this data here that shows that Japanese knotweed actually works better than antibiotics to kill Lyme microbes like Borrelia burgdorferi, as well as Bartonella and Babesia too, which are common Lyme disease co-infections. See, there's a powerful compound in Japanese knotweed known as resveratrol. It's the same thing that's in red grapes and in red wine, and the reason why people try to say that drinking wine is good for you, even though you would need to drink a lot of wine to get the levels of resveratrol that are actually good for you. That's what people try to say. Resveratrol is an extremely powerful compound though, and it's very, very high in Japanese knotweed. Interestingly enough, Japanese knotweed actually has a more bioavailable form of resveratrol. That means it can be absorbed by our body easier, quicker, faster, and in a more sustainable way because it's trans resveratrol, not just resveratrol. Our body absorbs it very easily and is able to use it immediately. The benefits of this herb are insane. First of all, it improves your heart function. It dilates blood vessels. It improves blood flow. It normalizes blood pressure. It prevents blood clotting. It does all of these things for our blood and our heart, and it really protects the heart. And that's what really made it stand out for me. But that's not even where it stops, because it's also antimicrobial, antibacterial, antioxidant rich, and anti-inflammatory on top of all of that. Japanese knotweed is one of the rare forms of herbs that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and it protects the nervous system, which almost no herbs do. Japanese knotweed has been used in its native country for centuries to treat almost everything from respiratory illness to chronic inflammation to arthritis and, yes, heart problems. Polygonum cuspidatum has become a cornerstone of every Lyme literate doctor and herbalist out there. They always say use Japanese knotweed. I've seen it in every book that I've read, every study that they do. They're constantly bringing this herb up as something powerful that can help us heal from Lyme disease. It was insane. Once I started taking Japanese knotweed, I actually was able to see my heart get better within the 48-hour window that they were measuring my heart. So it started at 30 beats per minute, but by the end, my heart rate, my resting heart rate was up towards like 58 beats per minute, which is considered normal. and it wasn't cause for alarm anymore. All because I was taking Japanese knotweed, which dilates the blood vessels, allows for better blood flow, and protects the heart. On top of that, the protective properties of resveratrol and Japanese knotweed make it a really important part of my healing regimen. Now, you may already know this, but for the past 5 years, I haven't experienced any Lyme disease symptoms at all. No fainting, no vertigo, no joint pain, nothing. And I've been able to actually increase my health in ways that I never thought I could imagine. I've been able to start running every morning, lifting more weights, playing soccer more regularly, living my best life. And not only that, but more importantly, I've been able to show up for my family in ways that I wasn't able to before. Now, I'm not saying it's all because of Japanese knotweed, but partly it has to be. As soon as I started taking Japanese knotweed, things started to get better, and I continue to take it to this day. Now, where can you get Japanese knotweed? Well, I'm glad you asked. I wanted to make sure that everybody had access to Japanese knotweed, so I included it in our LymeWars herb box that you see here. Now, there's other herbs in this box, not just Japanese knotweed, but as I've explained in this video, Japanese knotweed is one of my favorites, and for good reason. So as you can see, the Japanese knotweed is right here. It's the red one, and it's super valuable, super potent. It disrupts bacteria biofilms, which I didn't even mention. It protects your nervous system. It's anti-inflammatory. It's immune supportive. It's got everything you need in order to start healing your body from Lyme disease. I use this every day, and for less than $2 a day, you can get LymeWars herb box, which doesn't just include Japanese knotweed, it includes other herbs as well. And as you can probably tell from this video, a lot of thought and care went into what herbs to include in the box. The only herbs that are in the box are things that are very important and necessary for healing from Lyme disease. Not only that, but you can get this box for less than $2 a day. It's so cheap and simple for everybody that anybody can afford it. And that was really the whole goal of creating LymeWars, was to make solutions that everybody could afford and anybody can use in order to start healing from Lyme disease in an all-natural and healthy way without having to use antibiotics or go to the doctor or be forced to kind of work in a system that doesn't work for you.
Nice.
So if you haven't already, go to LymeDiseaseWars.com, get your box today before they're gone. They will run out, and I want you to grab it while you can. I wouldn't be where I am today without the herbs that are in the LymeWars herb box. And that's why I just want to share it with as many people as possible and make it affordable for you as well. So do yourself a favor, go there now, LymeDiseaseWars.com, grab the LymeWars herb box before we're all out. I really want you to have this so that you can start to heal, because you can take back your body and feel like yourself again. See you next time. Bye.